Hello, I'm Rebel Risty with Rebel Labs AI, and I'm here today filming the best marketing podcast ever. Yay, you guys are hired. We are on the campus of beautiful University of San Diego here at the Art of Marketing, and we have our panel here today, a pretty impressive group. So really quick for our audience, if you guys don't mind, just introduce yourself and who you are and what you do.
Awesome. I'm Kathy Townend. I am on the board of AMA and also work for Enlight, which is, I work for their customer insights. I manage all of that. It was
Wonderful.
a really bad answer, sorry.
I'm Kirsty Nunez, and I'm President and Chief Research Strategist for Q2 Insights. And we are a marketing research firm, and I'm a career marketing researcher.
Wonderful.
And my name is Phil Goddard, and I am the head of a new product in the marketplace called Value Architect. It's an AI-enabled platform to analyze customer feedback. So that's why I'm here to share how that might be useful to marketers.
Wow.
Been in the field many years, so excited about being part of the AI revolution.
Wonderful. So we got some smarty pants on our panel here today. Wonderful. Well, before we jump into the analytics and data and market research, let's talk a little bit about the art of marketing and where it began, because I believe you two ladies are part of that story.
I've got a good story about this.
Oh, yes. Wonderful.
So Kathy was president, I think, between, what did we decide?
2011 and
2012. She was president of the AMA, the San Diego chapter. And Shelley Callahan and I decided that we wanted to start this conference, the Art of Marketing Conference. And so we decided to meet. We asked Kathy if we could meet her for breakfast to discuss the idea. And we didn't tell her what we were meeting her about. And Kathy came and she looked really worried.
I was so scared. I thought they were
Really
leaving.
worried. Because we were both on her board. Shelley Callahan and I were both on her board. And literally when we told her why we were there, she said, "Oh, thank goodness." I thought you were both going to leave. Anyway.
And it's such a fantastic conference. It aligns so well with AMA and our mission, our vision of what we're trying to bring back to the community. So it's been a fantastic thing. And thank you so much for you and Shelley bringing it to the table.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
It was actually, I don't know if anyone remembers Parker Pike.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
Parker
yeah.
Pike actually
Parker.
suggested the Art of Marketing Conference. And then Shelley and I picked it up and ran with it. And so we really think of Shelley and Kathy and I as starting the conference. And it has been a great boon, I think, for AMA San Diego.
Wonderful. So how has the conference grown since you guys first thought of it till today?
Oh my gosh, it's evolved so much over time. I
Yeah.
mean, partly because of the topics, partly because the community has just evolved around us and supported us in such great ways. So we've been able to get better speakers. We've been able to get more interest, right? So it's grown in terms of how many people show up to it. We had a little hiatus during COVID, as everybody did. And Kirsty graciously came back to help revive it back up again in 22. So yeah, super exciting.
When we started the conference, we had some space at UCSD Extension, and we had 100 people there, and we were pushing, man, to get 100 people there. But we had great speakers, and we were all in a plenary session for the whole day. We didn't have any breakout sessions, but it worked out really well. And then from there, we just went from strength to strength and changed locations. And so, it's been a lot of fun.
Wonderful. And it's beautiful here. And I think the partnership with USD is really well done.
Absolutely.
They've been great partners.
Yeah. Wonderful. So, Kathy, really quick, you had mentioned the mission of AMA and how Art of Marketing fulfills that. Maybe talk a little bit about how Art of Marketing is helping fulfill the mission there.
Yeah. So with San Diego AMA, we're really trying to give back to the community. We want to make sure that we're connecting them with network, with educational opportunities. And so the educational alignment is just spectacular. So I think we started with the cause conference, which was good, but didn't quite align completely. And this event, because it combines both the networking and the educational piece, is just a great way for us to connect with the community and make sure that we're giving back to the marketers in San Diego.
I love that. We do need some love, don't we?
Yes.
And Phil, how about you as far as the Art of Marketing? What has your role been here?
Well, I'm riding the wave that these women have created. Kirsty is obviously a very experienced market researcher. We met at a local networking group called Big Dogs Network. And I had developed a tool to analyze market research feedback, which she does quite a bit of. But this is unique in that it analyzes words, qualitative feedback, customer comments. So Kirsty and I, we did a study together on the Big Dogs Network, and she tried out the tool and she got excited. So she said, I think this is a game changer. I think you should meet the people at the conference. And Kathy and I go way back too. So this is my first day here. And I got the pleasure of being with a great group today. And Kirsty and Kathy led it off. And then I got a chance to talk about what it does. And, it's one of those moments in AI where it's kind of creating that feeling of wonder and miracle that it can do such powerful things with content. And of course, there's a lot of trepidation and fear around, the threats of it and so forth. So there's a lot of disruption going on right now, but there are some really beautiful, really cool things happening. And I was so excited about the reaction.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So I'm just going to cheat a little my notes. So you all three were on the panel for new to world segmentation, how qualitative data is redefining customer understanding. Tell us a little bit, just kind of about like the basics of what that panel was about and then what you guys discussed.
Sure. So traditionally, we've done quantitative segmentation, which is often a large project, a large and expensive project to do. When we do it, you might have anywhere from 1,000 to 10, 20,000 respondents, long surveys, and then you use that data and multivariate statistical analysis to segment out the market. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we offer our clients workshops. So those who can't afford to do the large quantitative segmentations, we offer them 1 or 2 day workshops where we take management and maybe some creative consumers and other people through a workshop to come up with an intuitive segmentation. Yeah, so it's just saying that this qualitative segmentation that Phil has developed is really very unique. And I actually did quite a bit of research to make sure that I wasn't making a mistake, that I was trying to determine whether anyone had actually done qualitative segmentation before. And to the best of my knowledge and based on all the research and the history that I've had in marketing research, nobody else is doing this. So it's really exciting stuff to be able to take smaller sample sizes with rich narrative data and turn that into a segmentation, whereas usually you're dealing with numbers and answers to scaled questions and checklists and things like that.
Oh, that's amazing. So maybe, Phil, you can tell us a little bit about, you don't have to give us the secret sauce, but how that works, and maybe define too for our audience if they don't know, what do you mean by segmentation? And how do we use this data?
Right. Well, segmentation is a way of grouping customers on some common patterns of behavior or what they're talking about, so that you can look at how they use your product differently and maybe market to them originally for them to satisfy their sort of create your value propositions around the unique perspectives that your customers have, right? So an example for that would be if you've collected a bunch of feedback from women who have shopped for clothes on a website, and there's all that comments sitting there. Currently, some women have to go through, read all of those things, pull out what's interesting, what are they talking about, figure out a way to kind of collate all that, summarize it. Everything we do now is manual, but it is also the place where all the breakthroughs happen in how you treat your customers better, where they're delighted, where they're really unhappy. So with AI, we can actually figure out a way to pull apart a woman's comment into the things that she's talking about, how she feels about them, and some of the underlying drivers that are expressed in her comments. So there might be women who are talking about, repetitive shopping, and they want the same shirt that they love over and over again, and it better be detailed in the right. So they're conservative shoppers. And so they value that consistency and repeatability. And then there's a woman who's talking about how sexy the dress is, how stylish it is on certain occasions, and how much she values being an expert on that trend or whatever. So they're a social aesthetic shopper, And so this will pull those those unique nuances out of different women's comments, and then place them out into narratives that you can say, wow, there's a group that we get a lot of revenue from, and they're disappointed about these things but happy about these things. Let's cater some of our marketing campaigns and some of our product development towards satisfying them more and getting rid of some of these obstacles. So it's unique in that it's analyzing their words, right? Rather than just the numbers they give, like you had for a quant score. How satisfied? A lot of women will say they're satisfied, but then their comments will say, something different, right?
Right.
So it's kind of uncovering those little gems in the rough that people say, but when they do their quant score, they kind of just say, okay, I'm just going to say I'm happy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So just to define segmentation, imagine you have, what type of pie would you like? An apple pie, a cherry pie? But imagine you have a pie, right? And that represents the total population that you're studying. What you do with segmentation is you would want to divide up that pie into 4, 5, or maybe 6 pieces, which we would call segments, that are based on commonalities. And so it might be commonalities in needs, it might be motivations, it might be commonalities around behaviors. So we use, or it might be multivariate, so many variables. So what we do is we divide up that pie into non-overlapping segments, and that's what segmentation is.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then you're able to take those segments and message and market to them differently.
Correct. Usually we develop personas, and those personas are used for a brand, so everybody in the brand can understand their different segments, and then they can market to those segments, and in fact organize the whole brand around the segments.
Yeah. So you were saying earlier that, it could be $10,000, $20,000 to run research like this. How can you give us an idea of what is the cost and who's an ideal client for your platform?
Great questions. Any teams that are analyzing qualitative data at scale is the target, because they're struggling to get through all the research that's coming in. It's kind of like one of those common problems that all research teams have. We don't have time to analyze that data. It's so rich, but we don't have the resources, right? Everybody wants to do less with more. So the benefit is that you can use AI in situations where you can get through this much faster and as accurately, or in a complementary way to having a human do it. So speed to insights is one of the big benefits, and any size company, right? So we're talking to small companies and large companies. The AI is just, the investments in it are monumental, and everybody's trying to figure out how to introduce it into their processes, right? So any size, and then the pricing is actually quite reasonable. Right now, we're offering 3 segmentation models for a study at $3,300, right?
Oh.
So it's very small relative to the costs of having a team of 2 or 3 people spend 2 weeks on the data, right? So there's a nice price break there.
Yeah, that seems very reasonable, especially for the quality of the data that you're getting.
Exactly.
And being able to leverage that.
And they have to, we always do a free trial, right? And you have to be confident in the output. Everybody that has to stand up in front of the decision makers. They have to feel good about the analysis. So we always want to give them time behind the wheel, right? And build that trust, right? So we have something we call the researcher in the loop, where the researchers get to see, because we break this up into steps, they get to see the output of what AI is generating at every step, and then edit it, go back and repeat it. So by the time they've gone through this pipeline, we call it, they're confident in what the outcome is too.
Wow. I love it. I love it. The technology.
I feel like we could take this podcast and the whole conversation, and we could export it to a text file and have the AI analyze it. It will bring out all the topics that we're talking about. Maybe some of the feelings and emotions and motivations that Kathy has and you have, right? So it is kind of remarkable.
Okay, I love it. Well, I definitely want to see that. Speaking of Kathy, now that you're back, how are you using data at your company?
Oh my gosh, we use it for everything. I work in the strategy and planning team running customer insights. And so if there's not a number backing it up or some kind of quality information there, it doesn't work. So we use data to really better understand the motivation behind our customers, And because we have a smaller kind of bank of customers that we can talk to, we need to be able to pull out and group them into chunks, right? To say, this is what motivates this type of customer. And so if we don't have feedback from them specifically, we can still look across the other customers that are that same type and say, okay, we expect the same type of behavior from them. So we use it in a lot of really, I think, different ways than traditional marketing may, because it's a customer insights role, but super interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, could you give us maybe an example of like how you take data? You don't have to give any secrets away, of course, but because you're right, I don't think a lot of businesses do this, or they think it's out of their scope because it's so expensive, or they don't have time for it, or whatever it is.
Right, right. So when we're looking at our customers, we segment them the normal way, right, through some basic demographics of the size of the company or the industry they're in. But when we look at kind of that special sauce behind that, it's which ones have care about the outcome from their customers. Because some have a real business aspect to them where all they really care about is making money. And so you know that you have to treat them or give them messaging in a different way. There's other ones that, like a USAA, where they're very much behind all of their customers. And so you want to make sure that you're really speaking to them in a way that makes sense to them. And when we see the products that align with them, we can do that segmentation as well on the back end, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. Now, are you using Phil's platform or
not yet? But I'm so excited to give it a go and put some of our data in there. Yeah. Because we do have the kind of deep, rich interview content, but it's laborious to go through all of that, and you tend to get. We don't get a ton of that research at one time, so we get it over time. And so being able to put that into that model and really look at what's driving behaviors is really interesting.
And would you say, because AI versus a human, maybe our humans or maybe AI are putting certain parameters on, like if I read something, I might read into it differently than Kathy might, and versus AI even. So do you find it's cleaner?
That's what I like about it the most, actually, because we all have these kind of set expectations of who that customer is and what they like. And this really removes that bias from it, from my point of view, which is fantastic. As well as the recency bias, right? The last thing you read is the most important thing, or the person who spoke the loudest in the group is the one that has the voice. So
yeah. So you guys were on a panel today. What questions did people have? Like, what were the questions for you guys?
So many.
I had one guy came up to me, and he does a lot of major quantitative segmentations, and he said, if I went to one of these large companies that I work with and recommended that they do a qualitative segmentation instead of a regular quantitative segmentation, they would think I was crazy and I would be laughed out of the room. It's hard to answer that because I don't necessarily think that this qualitative segmentation replaces large-scale quantitative segmentation, but it definitely has a spot in the portfolio of segmentation approaches that we have now. So on the one hand would be large-scale quantitative segmentation, another would be workshopping intuitive segmentations. I would place qualitative segmentation somewhere in the middle as a standalone.
Okay, yeah. I think that's fair enough. I feel like there always is pushback, right? And sometimes because the boss doesn't want to hear the data. He doesn't want to know the truth. So I could see that for sure.
There is if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Phil.
There's a scenario that I've been
We're
in
at 20 minutes, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where a CEO brings us in and says, our quant is good. We're pretty happy on satisfaction, but something's going on. We're not getting the market share. We're not getting the cart size. We're not getting the follow through. We don't know what's going on. Why this disconnect, right? So far in the data sets that I've analyzed, we see almost a pattern where a woman on clothing might say 4 out of 5, done. But their qual might indicate something worse, right? So we put a metric behind the qual. We call it the qualitative appraisal score, which generally trends to be in that audience about a point less, right? And that's when you start to see them telling the stories about, well, it didn't quite fit right. I do love you guys. I'm going to have to send this one back, but I still love you. So 4 out of 5. right? But it didn't fit right. I'm going to have to send it back is what the team really wants to know, right?
Yeah.
So there's something in the stories that doesn't always get reflected in the number that the knee-jerk number that they're used to, putting. And we're starting to be able to tease that out. I think the scenario Kirsty just talked about is they would probably be more interested in that qualitative with their quant if they knew that power was there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to take some time, I think,
Well, just to build on that, I mean, we've always used qualitative research to flesh out the segments that we develop from quantitative segmentation. So I think that's where it best fits in what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love it. No, this is fascinating. I wish we had more time, but we're getting the number. Maybe if each one of you could just leave us a little bit of words of wisdom for our audience on if they're, considering qualitative or quantitative, like what is a good first step for our audience, small businesses?
Well, I mean, I was blown away by the fact that we could now do segmentation from qualitative data. So it's much less expensive than doing, it's a nice middle of the road option. It's much less expensive than doing a full scale quantitative study. So if you don't have, I mean, you said 10 or 20,000 before, some of the segmentations we do range from, anywhere from 50 to 500,000 dollars, depending on whether we're doing a multinational study or whatever. So, but this would be, qualitative segmentation would be something that's firmly in the middle in terms of cost overall.
Got it. Yeah. And my bad. Sorry about it.
Oh, no, that's
like 2030.
Oh.
Kathy, since you
I'd say anywhere you can start is great. So we started kind of grassroots and have very in-house means of doing things. So we have a loyalty survey that has about 8 questions in open space that we sent out first before we even started working with an agency. And it was just a way to get a bearing of how happy people were. And I think to Phil's point earlier, the comments that we got were so different than the scores that we were seeing, where it looked like people were happy, but we were still seeing issues. Yeah. And so the ability to dig into that and really understand what's driving their experience is really useful. Yeah.
No, I think that's so true because we all are trying to be too nice, aren't we? Even as consumers. And Phil, last but not least.
I would say that I don't want the research community to feel threatened by AI in any way. So we've built a way for the researcher to control this process, to drive it, to review it. And we think that's critical. In fact, we want to uplift the researchers to embrace AI and learn more about how it works rather than fear it and feel like they're going to lose their job. That's the primary thing right now that's happening in the research community is they're fearing that this is going to take over everything. And I think what we want to do is we want to empower them to do different things with the data once it's come in. It's a manual process to do this, and it takes too much time, right? So why not give them the insights quicker and let them do the creative work, the empathy work, the strategic work, right?
Yes, I absolutely agree. I think what we're seeing AI is allowing us to be more creative, to be more strategic while it does, the digging and the dirty, the more manual work. So,
Exactly.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was wonderful having you on. I feel like I've learned something. And just thank you for your time and your commitment to art of marketing and the AMA.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Reb.
Thank you.
Yeah.